Somewhat surprisingly, the site of non-knowledge which the body traverses and of which it is a part is related to by Nancy to thought. So he connects the body to the thought of thinking, responding with an almost unreadable acquiescence to the question that Heidegger poses, what is called thinking. This inert presence, detached from the knowledge that would seek to contain it, has let go of a treasury of sense to which those united with God have access. Thought, which Heidegger had unhitched from philosophical operations. You know that Heidegger is invested in thinking and considers philosophy a number of things, but not thinking. I just realized I'll just leave it at that. We're almost there. Thought weighs itself down and in as body, and more perplexingly still, to the extent that it is possible that the body thinks. The thinking body throws itself against the prevailing winds of the Western philosophical tradition. If in Dostoevsky, I hope you don't mind being in Dostoevsky, Jean-Luc, the body commended by illness still bears a memory trace of the sacred, it nonetheless encounters its finitude and the finitude of all bodies in the haunting limit drawn by Holbein. With the death of God, we have lost this glorious body, this sublime body, this real symbol of his sovereign majesty, this microcosm of his immense work, and finally, this visibility of the invisible, this mimesis of the inimitable. Putting to rest the glorious body, Holbein's Christ Taken Down commits a double act of reversal. Figuring Christ's body without the lift or iconicity of intended transcendence, he says, God is dead means God no longer has a body. I'm not quoting Dostoevsky here, but Nancy. Henceforth, bodies bereft of trickle-down symbolicity will have to be pumped up, prosthetically amplified, stereotical, built and buffed, bionically assured, drugged or medicated, cloned, remained. Henceforth, the technobody or replicant will be made to substitute for the lost body of the divine trait, that body which could still be sacrificed. In the novel, Dostoevsky sees the apocalypse, or at least he has Lebedev reinscribe it in terms of technological dominion, citing the spread of the railroad and the distribution of connectors installed by new technologies as instigators of the unsacrificable. What emerges from the novel's unfolding is the last body, a sputter or remnant of the lost, glorious body. It is a body making the transition from the sublime body to what is pictured in Holbein as the decreation of world, the unnamable end of the body, even if this should be consecrated in our memories as an endless end that only keeps on ending. The dead, rotten body is this thing that no longer has any name in any language, and the unnamed God has vanished together with this unnamable thing. It might very well be that with this body, all bodies have been lost, that any notion, any truth, any representation of bodies has been lost. In Dostoevsky, infirmity affects something of a return of the glorious body as the memory and phantom of what can no longer be. To the extent that Mishkin's illness still binds him to the sacred, his serves as a body, perhaps the last, still capable of being sacrificed. Outside the realm to which the severity of illness opens, there is only the exhaustion of the body and the congealed sense of the body. To keep this body sacrificable, Dostoevsky has had to protect it from the emptying of sense induced by the evacuation of the sacred, staving off that depletion of purpose congruent with the degradations of poverty, hunger, deportation, torture, deprivation, ugliness, horror. Such are the sacrificed bodies, but sacrificed to nothing, says Nancy. There may be no truth of this body other than that which speaks to the nothingness of its sacrifice. No Empedoclean remnant out of which to piece together some final sense. Not even the announcement of an approaching Fortinbras, as in Hamlet, who would bring up futuricity by means of order and commemoration. Sacrifice designates a body's passage to a limit where it becomes the body of a community, the spirit of a communion, of which it is the effectiveness, the material symbol, the absolute relationship to itself, of sense pervading blood, of blood making sense. But sacrifice is no more. The historicity of the wound involves its despiritualization, and the body recedes, taking on the status of this forbidden body. An embodiment of pure tautology and emptiness, the forbidden body offers the experience of an inert presence with little or no ontological consistency. The community, having surrendered the meaningful body, becomes the site of a private ward of contingency, the unattested sacrifice. Illness at once grounds the body here on earth, marking its subjection to time and destruction in time, but also suspends while reestablishing the very corporeal contingency under whose rule it operates. Illness calls for the emergence of another body, a multiplicity of bodies, for a healing and for another understanding. It plays the phantasmatic body against the real body. Complicit with the demand for another understanding, Christianity offered the promise, from one perspective, of performative acts of healing. The teaching of incarnation, saying that God was also meant to inhabit a body, underscored how we are fated to inhabit our bodies. Instigator to the many legendary scenes of spontaneous healing, Christianity, one major recovery program, insistently addressed the failing body, whether in discursive rites or by means of construction such as Lourdes, the offering of allegories of woundedness, which addressed with emergency supplies of meaning. In another text, a minor one to conclude tonight's session, that Nancy writes about the fate of pain, marking it off from suffering and the tradition that appropriates these terms. He says, pain, according to the title of the improvised text, is strictly unjustifiable. La douleur existe, elle est injustifiable. That is, the moment one attempts to justify or make sense of pain, one has reappropriated pain to its Christian history. One has returned or restored it to meaning. However, pain abhors meaning. It grotesquely etches meaning's interruption and self-sameness. Pain is unjustifiable. Without a doubt, it is unjustifiable that pain be unjustifiable. Anyone who tries to present a case for its justification is a Stoic or a Christian or worse. One could be a Hegelian. Yeah, a Hegelian. So, Christian or worse, one could be a Hegelian, getting by on the work, patience, and pain of the concept. So you might want to track the pain and the pain in the ass that Hegel continues to be. You know I affirm that. Whereas suffering and distress can tend to subsist on themselves or expand their scope by morose delectation or masochistic surplus, pain, in contrast, acts as its own repellent, rejecting itself while refusing any justification, assumption, or sublimation. Allowing for no secondary benefit, to speak with Freud. Freud always asked, what's the secondary benefit of your acting out or something, or you being ill or something? But allowing for no secondary benefit, to speak with Freud, pain is its own destitution,